league. So we had enough. Next year, we will have enough.
Together, I see it every single day. I know how good of players that we have. I know how good of a team we are, and we made it happen.
What's good, ISO gang? It's ISO Joe. And the Eastern Conference Finals finally have a victor in the Miami Heat. But the biggest thing about this is really about Jimmy Butler's statement that he made last year, May 29th, 2022, about this Miami Heat team. He said that a year from now, 2023, they'll be back here, same team, same environment. They're not going to come up short. They're going to get the job done. And he promised that. And even when things were looking rough at the beginning of the 2022-2023 season, they started the season 2-5, like I mentioned in the previous video. He said, we're going to get there. We're going to get the job done, and we're going to win an NBA championship. And just like Jimmy Butler said, he made good on his promise. And Jimmy Butler knew the entire time. The Heat knew the entire time. That's why he was singing in those press conferences, saying every little thing's going to be all right. Like he knew. He knew from jump. And even when he was up 3-0 and was starting to, it looked like the Heat were starting to get complacent and dropping games, Butler knew. He's like, even though we've lost this game, we still have faith in our team. We still have faith that we can win this thing. And like he said earlier, like once they made it to the playoffs, that 8th seed mentality, that was really never there to start with. They were a championship team, and it didn't matter what anyone else thought. It didn't matter what odds they were given. It didn't matter what ESPN was saying. It didn't matter what Bleacher Report, really any media outlet thought about the Miami Heat. Oh, they're too small of a team. They can't win with 7 undrafted players. And all the talk about Jimmy being overpaid. Yeah, all that was just noise to the Miami Heat. They had one mission. They had one goal. To go to the NBA Finals. And not just go to the NBA Finals, but win the NBA Finals. And they really showed that, beating the Boston Celtics in Game 7. And, looking back on this series, it really was a group effort. And it was a group effort that was really predicated among great coaching from Erik Spoelstra, role players stepping up, and you really can't even just call them role players or undrafted players. Like these guys are starting to play like stars, like Caleb Martin, averaging nearly 20 points in the Eastern Conference Finals. We really got to give this man his flowers, and honestly, he's going to be in for a whopping payday this offseason. I got to give it to Caleb Martin, Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, Duncan Robinson. All those players were stepping up. Jimmy Butler, who miraculously is just able to turn it on every time the playoffs come around. And really just got to give it up to just Miami culture. Pat Riley, Alonzo Mourning, like that whole organization knows what winning takes, and the ebb and flow of just a championship organization. Like, even though Miami hasn't won since the LeBron era, they know what it takes to win, and they've been back there. Even with Jimmy, when they made it to the NBA Finals in 2020, like they have championship DNA coursing through all of their veins. And when you have that, it's something that doesn't just go away, even if you haven't won yet. You have that determination to keep pushing forward, to keep being resilient, even when it looks like the door is closing. So you got to give props to the Miami Heat for just having that confidence in themselves when everyone else doubted them. No one else really had faith in them to get to this point as an 8th seed, and props to them for making history. And what really just showed was a testament to Jimmy's work ethic and just, Miami Heat cultures, they're unsatisfied. Like they're never, satisfied with just making it to the NBA Finals, Conference Finals. Yeah, that's cool. But, if you notice at the end of their Conference Finals ceremony when they received the Larry Bird Most Valuable Player award in the Conference Finals, which Jimmy Butler was awarded in the Conference Finals trophy, Bam was trying to give the trophy to Jimmy Butler to hold. He was like, nah, I'm good on the conference final. I'm going to hold the next one. Already speaking it into existence that the Miami Heat will be the 2023 NBA champions. And it's really that mentality that has allowed the Miami Heat to be the best team in the NBA, despite their record and despite what anyone has to say. They know in their minds, they wrote it on their vision boards, they see it when they go to sleep, that they will be NBA champions. And that's what's allowed them to really combat all that noise and to take down two teams that had MVPs. So, congrats to the Miami Heat. And it should be a very exciting final between the Miami Heat and the Denver Nuggets, especially seeing that, one of the games last year, I saw this clip on Instagram where Nikola Jokic elbowed Markieff Morris in the back, and he collapsed, and it just looked like a whole tussle between the Heat and the Nuggets. Jimmy Butler was fired up, Jokic was fired up, got the pot, and the pot was being stirred just from then. That was a year ago. That was, I believe, November of 2021. And then if you go back to the bubble, you got Aaron Gordon and Kyle Lowry jawing at each other. So there's a little bit of bad blood and tension between a few of these players on the opposing team. So it should really be an entertaining series. But now to transition to Boston. Despite some of the flaws they've had this year, still just a great season. Conference finals with a new coach, a lot of adjustments. And, if anyone is trying to say, oh, Joe Mazzulla can't coach, he can't make any adjustments, you clearly don't know basketball. Sure, the team lost a little bit of fire to go down 3-0, but, it still takes a coach that's willing to inspire his players and make adjustments to even get them in this position of having a game 7. Because, it really should have been over in like 5 games, given how it started, but he was able to, instill a fire within their leaders, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Marcus Smart, all those guys to, come together, rally together, and, put up a fight in these Eastern Conference Finals. They're the number 2 seed for a reason, so, it wouldn't be like them to go out in a sweep or a gentleman's sweep. But, they still lost. That means you gotta look into why they lost, right? So, looking back in this game, the Boston Celtics shot 21% from 3. Jaylen Brown had about 19 points that game, but he kept taking a lot of ill-advised shots, and he had about 8 turnovers that game, and that's just not what you need if you're going to win an NBA championship, much less the conference finals or NBA championship conference finals. You can't win by just trying to live and die by the 3, especially when you're dying by the 3 more often than you're living by the 3. And it just became really hard to watch in bad basketball, because once they got down, they kind of went away from trying to take efficient shots, which was, jump shots, inside the arc, or, utilizing Rob Williams in the paint. They just kind of went away from that, and they just tried to take all these isolated step back threes, very low percentage shots. And, you think after the first 3 games, which they were following, when they just kept trying to force shots, that wasn't going to work. But for some reason, particularly Jaylen Brown, he just kept trying to force all these threes that were contested, hitting the back of the rim, instead of trying to get some, even if they were a little bit tougher, but still higher percentage shots inside. So I didn't really understand that. I think they need to go back to the drawing board for that, and really just get better with that shot selection, because I know you have more than capable shooters on that team. Derek White, Tatum, Jaylen Brown can knock them down, Smart can knock them down, but once you see that they're not falling over a number of games, and going back over the tape and film, knowing that's not going to work, it's insanity to keep trying stuff and think it's going to work. You got to switch up the game plan. And that's what I really noticed. The Celtics relied way too heavily on their 3 ball, and as they did that, they eventually went cold, and Miami capitalized on that. They got rebounds, they went on runs, their ball movement was a little bit better, and they ultimately had better shooters. It's not like Miami didn't take any threes, but I feel like they were more methodical with their shot selection. And they had guys that stepped up, while the Celtics guys, injury or not, they just didn't step up to the moment this time. Now, still a great coach, still a great team, still have the ability to get back to the finals as they did, but they have a little bit of work to do to fill some of those holes that we saw in this round, in this Eastern Conference Finals round. But yeah, congrats to the Miami Heat. I'll be facing the Denver Nuggets. It should be an amazing game. I can't wait until June 1st until we see Game 1. And, still congrats to the Celtics. Great year. Eastern Conference Finals, they're no slouches, but, clearly some adjustments that need to be made. But, yeah, let me know your thoughts on this one. Let me know who you have winning in the NBA Finals. Will it be the Joker's year, or will it be Butler's year? Personally, this is a tough one. But, I think the Heat can pull this out in 6 games. It'll be a very, very hard-fought series, but I believe the Heat will win this in 6 games. I was considering Denver, but I think if Jimmy Butler guards Murray, he can serve as a pretty tough matchup for him. So I think Murray won't be stopped, but I think they can hold him within the 20 point range. So no more than maybe 25. They can do that. I think that's pretty good defense. Not really sure who will be able to contain Jokic, but I think Erik Spoelstra is a very savvy coach. I think he'll be able to make the adjustments with his players, and I got to go with Coach Bo on this one. But let me know your thoughts on this one, and stay tuned.